We could start at any point in time because we're still recording. So he said he wanted all of it. So
yeah, okay.
Well,
I'm good.
I don't like the fact that he wants all of it. I don't like that.
so yeah, it's. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you feeling today?
Doing good. We're trying out a new format. It looks like
it would appear to be that way.
Yeah. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, man. We've been out for a minute. I had to redecorate everything. I hope it. Really, I just painted and put wood floors in. So
yeah, it takes a little work. Takes a little time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it goes good and everything sounds good.
Oh yeah. Hopefully everyone will enjoy.
But I kind of wanted us to talk about jobs today. Jobs you like, jobs you hate, what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy about a job, what's odd, what's the weirdest thing that you've ever had happen or done on a job.
Okay.
So I'll start it off with this. What is the worst job you have ever had?
Man, that is a tough one. You'd have to kind of put in parameters. We decide tough. Right? Or worst?
Or worst. What's the worst job you've ever had? Or what's the job that you hated the most?
Oh, that one's tough too.
Be careful with what you say.
Yeah, I'm going to say on that one, I might need to skip that one.
Yeah?
I will say probably one of the worst jobs, worst jobs I had. So for a brief moment, I don't even remember the name of the company. It was a small mom and pop company. We literally, you know those giant freezers at Sam's and Costco where you get your food?
Yes.
You know, the walk-in freezers and all that. I used to build those.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. So I worked for, it was literally a guy and he just hired a crew of like 6 people. And he would go in, we would tear down the old freezer in 24 hours and put up the new one in 24 hours.
Okay.
So what made this job probably the worst job I had was travel time. So we worked in Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma.
Oh, fun.
And we didn't get paid travel time.
Oh, even better.
So there were times we literally would drive 19 hours.
So wait, how old were you when you were doing this job?
19.
Okay, so pretty young. At least, you know.
I think I made $10 an hour, which back then, because I don't want to give away too much of my age, but was decent money.
Decent.
Not fantastic, but decent money.
Back when you can get a bread for a nickel, right?
Yeah. Well, no. Not. I do remember gas under $1, though. I will say that.
Damn.
No?
I remember that.
I don't remember that.
Okay, thank you. I'm not alone on that.
I don't never
That
remember.
and Whoppers were $1.
What the fuck? What is a Whopper?
Burger King?
I know. I'm just
playing. Man, I'm just showing my age all over. Anyways, so $10 an hour, but he didn't pay his travel time. So let's say the job was in El Paso. We would leave from DFW, drive all the way to El Paso, 6 guys, 1 truck. So you had to cram into this truck, drive all the way there.
Y'all were driving, right? Because this sounded very bad.
Yes.
Crammed in a truck, 6 guys, 1 truck sounds something like 2 girls, 1 cup.
It does kind of rhyme, too.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that.
Yes, we were driving. We had to haul a trailer with the panels, some of the panels and stuff like that. So we didn't get paid travel time, and he always promised 24 hours to tear down the old one, 24 hours to put up the new one.
Why'd you have to tear down the old one?
Well, you had to get rid of it.
Oh, you couldn't just like fix it?
No, this is all. So those panels would be, I don't know, 6, 10 inches wide with all the insulation inside of them. After a while, when they get old, you get mildew, you get all sorts of stuff.
So you had to break it down.
You have to break it down.
But would you use the same parts to make?
Oh, God, no.
So would you just throw them away?
Yeah, we had a dumpster. They would pull in like gigantic dumpsters.
I wonder if that stuff was like recyclable or like they resold it for something.
Could have been. We didn't really handle too much of that side. It was basically tear it out. Now that part was fun because
Got the
took
fucking shit up.
yeah, you took sledgehammer and just beat the shit out of stuff.
I could see you getting a lot of frustration out doing that.
Yeah. Probably one of my favorite parts because you're about 16 feet off the ground. If you've been in there, you know what I'm talking about because they don't go all the way up to the ceiling. But you get up there, it's pretty high up there, and you're up there just beating on the roof going like, I could fall through at any point in time, but this is fun.
That's crazy as fuck.
Yeah, no medical insurance. So
That's awesome.
we would have to tear it down in 24 hours. We could always do that, but he would promise putting up the next one in 24 hours. So what that would mean, and we always had to do it at night. Couldn't do it during the day where there was customers.
So you would have to finish pretty quick to get
Correct.
it put it up.
Never had an issue with the tearing down because you can always tear down quicker than you can build it back up. And these things go together, I kid you not, like a giant 3D puzzle. It's just literally panels that you slide together. They're numbered, and you take a key and lock them in place. That's it.
Okay.
So it's pretty simple, but you would work 10 hours just straight, sometimes longer if we could start at like 7 if they were okay with that. We'd start building it up, and there was no safety. And what I mean by that is, so these panels would be 16 feet long, 4 feet wide. So what you would do is you would start by building the back wall, and then you would put the sides up. And before you put up the front wall, you would put the roof on. So what they would have me do, since I was the youngest and the smallest, is they would get the forklift, lay the panel on the forklift, and I would sit on the panel. They would raise the forklift up.
Oh my God.
Drive it up, drop the panel on top of the new roof. Keep in mind, or the new shell. So there's nothing to keep this thing from flopping in and out.
I was going to say, wait, hold on. So the damn thing that you're sitting on could fall easily, and there's no side, so you could fall off easily.
Yes, and it gets better. So I'd have to get up there. Once they would set it down, I would get up there, and I'd have to grab the panel on the edge and lift up to try to get it to line up with the edge of it. So I'm beating on this thing with it not anchored down.
Oh my God.
Until I could finally lag bolted in. Once you got the first panel on, you could start walking them back.
And you're the youngest of this crew?
Oh yeah, I was the youngest and
clearly the dumbest of this. No, just like,
probably the most willing to do it. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Let me ride the forklift. Yeah.
That's
we
freaking
would
crazy.
use scissor lifts. We would play bumper cars with scissor lifts. You just go out there and just start ramming them.
You were literally just one bad day from just dying.
So here's the fun part. So when I said it gets worse. So when we would have to build the side panels, and keep in mind, like I said, it's about 16 feet up. So what we do is we'd build 2 of the panels down on the ground. So about 8 feet. And like I said, it locks in place with a key. So we would lean it and stand it up onto the forklift. And then I would have to stand on the forks
of the lift,
push up against
holding it. So hopefully it doesn't fall.
As they raise it up. And then when they get it over there, they start beating on it to get it into place. And I'm like, ooh.
What in the hell?
Yeah, that was the worst job. And if you got hurt, you got fired.
Wait, what?
Yes.
If you get hurt, you get fired because you can't work no more. So you not.
No, he didn't want to pay medical bills.
What in the hell? How the hell is this even legal or signed off?
I was young. I didn't care. I was making money.
God,
like
this
the
is
shitty
like
part about it was. So let's say it was a 15-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
So we drive 15 hours. Let's say we tore it down in 9 and put the new one up in 8. And then drove back 15 hours. So then we spent more time driving than we did actually working. And we didn't get paid drive time.
That's crazy. You were literally like, wait, was this all cash under the table? Kind of? Oh, okay. Makes sense now. Because I was like, there's no way you can be like clocked in or like, you know what I mean, in a system.
Oh, no. He gave us $20 a day per diem. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I was 19. Now I'm like, that ain't shit.
That ain't shit at all.
I remember one time we were up there, I was on the roof and I was hammering in a lag bolt with a sledgehammer. And I was kind of raring into it. And actually it wasn't a lag bolt. Now that I think about it, we were tearing down. And we'd taken a gigantic pry bar. It's about 4 foot long. And slammed it into one of the panels. And it has a sharp end on it, but you'd use the sledgehammer to drive it in. And I'm driving it. I miss. And I think it's, this one here. I hit the end of that.
And that's where that scar comes from.
Split this wide open. I didn't go to the hospital because I didn't want to get fired.
He's like, you're fired, sir, if you go to the hospital.
So I just, duct taped it up. Later on in the hotel room, just sat in some water, let it soak for a while. But yeah, that was
Just
probably
let
the
all your
worst.
blood leave your body by soaking
Yeah.
in the water. The most dumbest thing to do.
I didn't say it was smart.
Hey, I know.
Lay
I
in this
just
bathtub.
Yeah, it was like, oh.
perfect.
Bleed out.
And that
being
is when I
19 years
started
old.
smoking.
Well, I see now why. It probably helped relieve a lot of the pain you were going through. Your joints were hurting. You're 19 years old. You're supposed to be in your
shitty job.
prime, and you're just getting the fucking shit beat out of you, tearing down a fucking fridge freezer.
I mean, it was good stories, but yeah, one night we were in the hotel room and he had, I think it was Turkish Royal Camels, and I was like, God, give me one.
Wow, that's okay. Well, I'm not going to top that. The worst job I ever had was, I think it was 14 or 15. So that wasn't supposed to be working yet, but it was like on a paperboy route, not like newspaper riding a bike throwing it,
Yeah.
but selling paper for you to, buy paper basically. So I would go knock on your door, say, hey, I'm working with yada, yada, yada. Do you want to sign up? You fill it out. You got the old school yellow and pink slip, like when you go to a car
Triplicate
place.
copies.
And I just fucking hated walking door to door to do that. It was the worst thing ever. You would go to places you don't want to go. You knock on people's doors, they answer the door like, who the fuck is you are? Yeah, whatever it may be. Guns pointed at you, and I'm like, I'm just a 15-year-old kid, sir. Just asking if you want like newspaper. Like
They were like, are you scoping the place out?
Yeah, like seriously, they would be doing that. And I'll never forget, I actually got one of my homeboys that job, and this is going to be really even funnier because, well, I'll tell you. So basically, we go, and he's deathly afraid of dogs, right? So we go to these neighbors' houses. I say, okay, boom. We finally figured out how we're doing our route. So we're just going down the street like this, door to door on a house, next street, door to door house, like just flowing down, right? I see a dog and I tell him, hey man, there's a dog back there, but boom, he's okay, cool. It's locked up, right? It did look like it was locked up. It was on the chain and everything. Next thing I know, we go to 2 houses down. That same dog is now behind him with the chain on, mind you. And it's like, there was like link fence. It looks like he just burrowed through the fence.
And it was still attached.
And it was still attached to the chain, but it's like near him. And it's like 2 houses down. So how long was this freaking
I was
chain?
going to say, how long was this
But
chain?
the chain was snapped at the end. So I don't even think it was ever together. It was just on to make it look like it was on, probably because like people probably come by and say, hey, you got to make sure the dog's chained up. And when I tell you it like howled behind him like a wolf maybe, like how, he literally just froze like this and like was like a mummy and like literally took his time, turned around and looked at it. And I just walked over there because I wasn't afraid of dogs. I walked over and I was like, hey puppy. And the dog was just like, all right, and walked off. But his face, like he literally just turned, he looked like a ghoul. He looked like Michael Jackson after Vitiligo. Like it was crazy. I was like, bro. But the funny part is, so after that happened, he was like, dude, I'm not doing this no more, blah, blah, blah. So we basically quit while we're working. So we just leave. We have all these slips of all these people who signed up. We leave. We go to a burger joint. It's called Kincaid's. This place, we eat there, was the driest burger I've had in my life. This is why I never liked it.
So that's where Kincaid's.
That's where Kincaid's came from, of why I never liked it. And then it's funny because we went there today for lunch.
Yep.
And it was actually pretty good this time.
Yeah.
So never give up on your dreams. See, people can change.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Burgers can change.
This is going to tie right into what we had for lunch today.
Exactly. That's why I said it was going to be funnier when you hear it. But
that's great.
That's my worst job, and I didn't even get the worst of the experience. My friend did. But I just hated going to people's houses and knocking on doors.
Had he been bitten before? Is that why he was afraid of dogs?
I don't know. He never told me if he's ever been bitten by dogs, but he just doesn't like dogs. Big dogs, small dogs, all dogs. He can't stand them.
I mean, I don't like horses, but I haven't been bitten by one.
Have you been kicked by one?
No, but I have been bucked off.
Oh, it's like you flew off the horse?
I was about 5.
I remember doing that too, like horseback riding when I was younger. I don't necessarily remember it, but I know I did. I have pictures of me being on a horse.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I ever got bucked off, and that's why I don't know, because I forgot, or was I just too young?
You just blocked it out.
Yeah, just blocked it out. So I don't know, but
I mean, they're majestic creatures. I think they're awesome.
Majestic, like the liquor store creature.
Yeah, well,
I know. Just like
they look regal, but there's something about them. When I get close to them, it's like, yeah, I'm good.
I'm terrified when I'm close.
Yeah, like I don't mind watching them, and I think it's cool people ride them. But say like the stock show, when I go there, once I start getting, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Why?
I'm good.
It's just something about how they look.
That was 5.
I had a bad experience on a pony.
A pony?
We're at a fair that my church put on over off of Lancaster. and they had a pony, and you could. I was like maybe 7, and you could wait in line to ride the pony. The guy would put you on, and he would go like in circles. And there was like 5 little fat kids in front of me, and every single one of them was bitchy.
They probably were hungry.
Probably.
Trust me, I know. I would have been bitching too, like, Mom, what the fuck? I don't want to ride this pony. I want to eat.
Yes.
Someone should give him a Snickers.
Yeah, hungry while waiting.
That last fat kid just pissed him off, and it was like bucking up, and you can tell they were like, all right, well, one more kid.
And I'm fucking them up.
Yes, and that was me. And I get on it, and the carrier lost the pony. The pony just like started bucking
my
and took
God.
off.
You're just holding on for dear
I'm
life.
just holding on for dear life, and I'm just going across the freaking field.
Just imagine a kid crying on a pony, like, Mom, get me off this pony. I hate ponies forever now.
Yeah, it'll do that to you. Yeah,
I didn't fall off though.
Oh, well, see, you did good. You rode the bull. I see you beat it. The only thing is, you did come back missing half your beard, because even at that age, you had a beard, because that's a marvelous beard, sir.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. You had to have started that when you were that young.
Yes.
Yeah, there's something about it. I think they're great. I just can't. Ever since I got bucked off, no.
Well, before Travis Scott got really huge, he had this music video called Mamacita, but at the beginning of it, he had another one of his songs. I can't remember what the song was called, but it's a really good song. But it starts off with a horse, and it has its eyes like blacked out or clear clouded out. I don't know, like if it's demonic or something kind of. That was actually a scary sight to see. I was like, okay, I can see why people would be afraid of a horse from just all
They're
this.
powerful animals.
They are powerful animals.
That's the thing. It's like, man, one kick, getting bucked off, not fun.
That's what's just crazy to see people like do all these tricks with them, and then like we rode them for however long in the West to get around and on buggies and stuff. And
But that would be different. I mean, nowadays we don't really use that. It's not like if I had to ride a horse right now, I would probably be riding a horse to get to your house. But I got a vehicle that has horsepower, so I'm good.
So you got a few horses in there.
Yeah, I don't know how many.
I wonder how long it would take for you to get to my house if you rode a horse.
Probably not as long as you think.
Probably take you like half a day, no?
Yes.
You think?
Probably. Maybe even longer.
Horses. Now I'm gonna, after this podcast is over, I'm gonna have to Google how fast do horses run. 20, 30 miles an hour.
Well, my car goes 120 horsepower.
We wouldn't work together.
That's
20
true.
miles per hour.
That's true.
I guess
Yeah,
I'm
you'd
stupid.
never see family that lived more than a 20-minute drive away.
Correct.
Well, we would probably have a village together, right?
Yeah, I mean, we would for sure.
Yeah. I don't know how we would have this kind of sophisticated equipment while we're riding horses, but
no, not this kind of sophisticated equipment.
It's Westworld.
But most people will probably have really awesome beards.
I mean, I feel like my beard's okay.
Yeah, I mean it is.
I mean, it's not as great as yours.
No,
but
Jason's got the best.
True story.
except for that patch that's missing from the pony.
Yeah.
You have a bald spot right here. You will come over
See? It
inside the
happened.
beard.
My beard's weird too, though. Like on the sides here,
Beard's
it
weird.
grows in very like thin, so I have to like let it continue. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
same
doing right
here.
now.
Same here.
Yeah? I don't know. I guess that's our shape.
Yeah.
I guess I also got bit.
It's
by
probably
a
something to
pony.
do with genetics down the way somewhere.
Possibly.
I can totally see that.
Okay, so
We kind of got off the jobs, but that's.
I know, but hey, that's what happens. You know what
That's what
Kanye said. We go on symphonies.
Wait, what?
So on Joe Rogan, Kanye, you know Kanye West, right? He goes on his little rants or tangents or whatever, go crazy. Well, he said, whenever I do that, it's like being in an orchestra kind of, because I know I'm ranting, but it's like I'm talking about something. Like, let's say Joe Rogan asked him a question, he's talking about it, but then as he's talking, he has another idea of what he's talking about, so he'll talk about that. And then as he's going on about that, he'll forget about both those other ones and go on to the other one. But he does come back around and answers everything.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just like how his mind works.
He probably does it. He probably moves on, so he doesn't want to forget before it leaves.
Maybe he has to, because he has to get it out of there, because it's just so many thoughts coming in there at once.
And certain things trigger. I had a friend one time, we'd be talking and you could see him like something would trigger, and he would always say the word, "You just kindled something in my mind." And I was like, "Wait, you mean like the Kindle Reader? I don't understand."
Like lit in a little fire, the Kindle.
But yeah, he would say, "You just kindled in my mind," and then he would go off on it. So I could totally see it. He's sitting there, and then something goes boop, and he's like, "Ooh."
So he was like, in the orchestra, you have like, I don't know, name some instruments or whatever, all the different instruments.
Yeah.
So that's why he was just like, so it's a symphony, because I have all these instruments in my head, so I'm playing them all at one time.
I mean, I don't.
So I was just
that's
like,
not a
yeah,
bad way to put it.
yeah, we went on the
I don't know
symphony.
why I went high voice.
I mean, it's okay.
It happens. Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it was good.
It's on my list.
I liked it. I mean, I guess I may be the one and only, billion people who like Kanye West.
Yeah, I like Kanye West. I don't have anything against him.
Nah, nothing at all. I mean,
I think
he
he's
can go a little
misunderstood.
wild. Yeah,
He's misunderstood, and I think most people can get that. If you don't, I don't want to go off on the tangent we were talking about earlier, but yeah, when there's short segments of things, I think people can misconstrue
for sure.
things. So that's why I kind of really want to watch it, because he hasn't been on Joe Rogan before, right? This is his first time?
Yeah, this is his first time. He was trying to go on Joe Rogan, I think last year, COVID and everything, I guess, maybe messed it up. But yeah, this is his first time ever being on. I think it was last year he was trying to get on there.
Wait,
I guess the beginning of this year. I'm sorry.
I'm just playing with you.
This year's almost over, so
this is what was kind of funny to me when I, obviously I follow Joe Rogan. So when I pulled up my YouTube.
Terrible guy.
Yeah.
Nah, he's a base.
When I pulled it up and I saw him was on there, my first thought was like, oh, Kanye West. That means he's in Texas.
He is.
So now anytime like James Maynard Keenan was on there, I was like, he's in Texas.
I should go to Austin real quick because
like
I know he's there.
I forget who else was on there. I was like, they're in Texas. So that's what I'm thinking of now. Anytime I see his podcast, it's like, they're in Texas now.
And the thing is, though, they're probably there for a second and they leave. They're probably just like, well, I hopped off the jet, came to your place, I'll hop back off. And if it's Joe Rogan, he just got that huge contract, probably just has a plane land right in.
Probably. Because from what I saw, apparently, and I haven't watched it, but there's a video on YouTube going through his new place.
Uh-oh.
And it says it's a $14.4 million mansion.
There you go.
So there's no telling.
10 billion of it all,
might have a
or
little
10 million
private
of it went
landing
to the
strip.
private landing strip.
Yep. Which is dope. I mean, that's awesome. I totally support that.
I wonder if they do the podcast like on his property.
I would think so. He
has to. I feel like they did it for the old studio, but I don't know.
I feel like, well, they rented a place for his old studio.
Oh, that's right.
I was watching a documentary thing about it, and they were actually showed, and sorry to go off on a tangent.
Your symphony.
But they were showing them building his table in his old studio.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That thing was like steel legs, bars, and all that welded to the ground.
Oh, I thought he just had like a wooden table with it.
It had a wooden top. But the frame of it, I was like, that is awesome.
That's
And
interesting.
it was long. That was a massive table.
Yeah, this studio of his doesn't look as big.
As big.
So it just kind of confused me because I
it
know
has
he's
that kind of circular look to it. It almost looks like it's in an airstream in a way.
I think I'm the only person that likes it.
I like it. Yeah,
I
it
only
looks.
heard hate on the internet.
Really?
No, it
dig
looks
it, though.
good. Yeah, I dig it
I
too.
like the colors.
I like the red.
I did
the
like the old brick look he had in the old one with the the Jimi Hendrix and the which fun fact, I don't know if y'all knew this from watching the documentary. His show's called the Joe Rogan Experience. That's based off of Jimi Hendrix
album cover.
Experience. Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I like it.
Yeah,
I like the studio. That's weird. It really got a lot
I
of
love
hate.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
People
understand
hate
it.
it on the internet.
Yeah, I like it.
Is it because of the black cooler looking things?
I think red probably wasn't the best choice.
Oh,
because
I
the
love
color
it.
red instigates hatred and
I can
Red,
see that.
really?
But growing up,
Red's a good color.
I took a psychology class in high school, and they actually said, because like in my school, we were red and white was our colors, and almost all the rooms were red, and they said that red helps increase learning, like retaining.
I can
things.
see that too. It's just a bright color. It helps you like. I don't know.
So
to me,
I like it because of that aspect, because they go through a lot of different subjects when you have guests on there, so. I can see the red kind of.
My only tarp with his thing is like his table. Like he used to have those episodes where he has like all his boys around. Like I guess they can't have that no more because of COVID, so they built it that way or something.
maybe.
I just don't see how they're going to.
I don't. I guess, but you don't ever see anyone wearing masks or anything
Well,
like
he
that.
tests everyone.
So it should be fine.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know.
Although young Jamie did catch it, so
He did?
yeah, that's
I
why he
didn't know.
didn't put out episodes for a couple weeks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, did you read about that
Yeah, Joe Rogan actually did a little
video
quick
about
video
it? Yeah,
on
that's
his
right.
Instagram. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
am I not paying attention to this? Dang, I'm out the loop.
And I read somewhere he caught it by like hooking up with some chick at some bar somewhere. But
Well, I mean that's
Well, good for him.
many people have caught stuff from a chick at a bar. I'm just saying.
I think that wasn't COVID.
probably a random comment from somebody that doesn't know.
That's
but
true. That's true.
I take it as fact because it was on the internet.
Right.
Just making sure I don't accidentally.
Internet only
use it.
speaks facts.
There's
Yes.
only truth.
Yeah.
It's only truth.
Even if it's lying about being true, it's still being true about the lie.
It's
See, you
true.
like
Heads up.
Yeah, it's its own fact checking.
But anyways, back to jobs. We were talking about the worst ones.
Okay, so
So-
let's flip it. What's your best job?
My best job,
Favorite job you've ever done?
my favorite job. Good God. I don't know. Well, obviously I like acting. So, I mean, I've done not actually, been a lead role or something in it, but I mean, I've done like little things here and there. I would guess that's a job. I mean,
Did you get
it
paid?
didn't really, kinda, if that makes sense.
I would say it's a job. I mean, if you mow a lawn, it's a job.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to use that, but that's probably what my favorite is or whatever. But I guess my best job I've ever had, like an actual like working job, like, I mean, acting is, but I haven't hit anything yet. But I mean, like actual like sustainability. It's tough, man. I'd probably have to say
It's not tough for me. I can tell
it's
you
tough.
right.
I mean,
And
because
you could probably guess it.
so I mean, like the job that we do now
Mm-hmm.
is fun, but that's because of the people.
People are awesome.
Yeah. So I mean that makes it fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the job is not just amazing.
Correct, and without having to say where we work or what we do, I wholeheartedly agree. The company I work for, I don't necessarily agree with everything or how they do it. The people that I interact with on a daily basis, and even to that point, some of the customers are
Right. They'll be
make
great
the job
people.
worth it because sometimes you just get some awesome people.
Yeah. So it's tough to say what's my favorite job, because if I go off like all that aspects, then I'd probably say with what I'm doing now because all the people. But the most ease of job, I guess, and the best of job, like just work. I don't know, man. Maybe it was probably when I was young and I worked for the movies.
Okay.
Like it was just easy work. I mean, yeah, I cleaned up like popcorn or something after someone, but it was literally just like a blast all the time. And you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like if I can segue to what's like the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you on a job, I have like some interesting stuff from working at the movie theater.
I can believe that.
So 2 things that was crazy. So we have really huge theaters and there's really small ones. So we go into this really huge one. Movie's been out probably like 2 weeks now, so it's not really like a bunch of people going, but some people go. I walk in, and at this particular theater, you have a bottom floor, and then it kind of goes up, and then it has like a flat floor that's huge that has like a back, and then it still goes up, right? So we come in from the back to start getting ready to clean. As I'm coming in, I hit the corner. There's literally a couple right here, just having a good time.
Going at it, huh?
Having a great time going at it. Not even watching the movie, and you literally see the couple 2 rows above them and the couples that are below them and people below them just looking back watching them, not even watching the movie. And I'm just like, what?
You'd be like, well, I paid for this, but
I'm watching
here's
this.
the bonus.
Right. So I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Was it at least an R-rated movie?
I don't remember what the movie was.
It'd be terrible if it was like Toy Story.
But
Exactly.
But the grossest thing and the weirdest one that I ever walked on was, it was in a smaller theater, and I walk in, and as I walk in, there's literally this guy. He was a homeless guy who would always come to the movies every once and then because he would get money, from whatever, and he'll come watch a movie, which is cool, spending time in the movie theater. Yeah, we would give him free food and stuff too, for him to, enjoy himself while he's watching the movie. But I walk in, and I'll never forget this. He was watching Blade Trinity.
Ooh, Ryan Reynolds.
And it had Wesley Snipes on the screen at the time, and this man was going at it. And I mean, he was moaning and groaning, and he was just like, going at it. And I was like, all right, I'm not cleaning this one this time. It was
The floor was a little sticky after
the
that.
floor was a lot of sticky after that. And then he left, and then he would go and get water from this fountain and this fountain. And still to this day, when I go to that movie theater, I would not go to those fountains.
I don't blame you. Yeah, I'd be the same. Be like, no.
Yes, I'm not going there.
If you knew what happened, no.
Yeah, exactly. So that's me. What's the weirdest thing you've ever had?
I knew you were going to
seen
ask
happen?
this. So
Yeah.
I was kind of trying to pre-plan. Weirdest thing. I don't think I can't think of anything at the moment.
What about you? Do you have any weird stories from any jobs?
I was a pawnbroker.
So go on.
I've seen all kinds of things that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Oh, you can't talk about it.
You
have to sign like some agreement when you're a pawnbroker that you can't talk about stuff?
Well, I'm not supposed to talk about like individual people being in the pawn shop legally.
But you can throw a hypothetical if this story happened.
I had a homeless guy come in that had wet himself.
Interesting.
He had the button of his pants buttoned, but nothing else. And I did not realize this the first part of the conversation, and I started to smell some smells, and it was not pretty.
So that was your weird moment.
When we watched back the camera, you can see the moment I realized I'm talking to a man that has fully wet himself.
You're just like this look, and you're like,
well, I stepped completely back as far as I can. I like bump into the wall.
Hit a chainsaw. He splits his head open. He's like, "Yeah, sir, that's fine. I can continue to help you. Let me just get this chainsaw real quick." Cut his nose off.
He's doing COVID protocols before there was COVID.
See, you knew it was coming.
Is this where COVID came
This
from?
is where it started.
Yeah. See. Okay. Now that I think about it, weird for me was one time at a job. We had I don't know if you can classify this as weird or kind of sad, but someone came in that was homeless and apparently had shoplifted and was running from the cops and like ran into the store I was working to try to hide.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then one of the dudes I was working with literally opened the door for the cops. Is like, he's in here.
Wow.
And they caught him.
Well, that's
that would be weird, I guess. I don't see that on a normal basis.
Well, what's your best job or your favorite job since you asked me?
Screen printing T-shirts.
Okay, I can see that.
It was a job that didn't feel like a job. I mean, it did feel like a job. There were times I worked 36 hours straight. But that was back when we landed Flyleaf, and they had just signed with RCA Records, and they put in an order for 20,000 shirts, and they needed it ASAP. So it was like, all right,
booming. That's awesome.
And it was a blast. Now I crashed at the end of the 36 hours.
Yeah.
And if you thought I drink a lot of energy drinks now,
because dear God, do you drink?
36 hours straight, I was pounding energy drinks at that point.
Your heart has to be just pumping whatever color that is, those energy drinks you drink.
There's all different colors. What also made it one of the best jobs, like I said, it didn't feel like a job. One, I love music. And being involved in the music scene for a little bit when I was playing in a band, we mainly did band T-shirts. So I got to meet a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Lacey from Flyleaf. One time when Flyleaf came in, I don't know if I've already said this on a podcast or not, but one time they came in and they needed shirts. We'd already printed them, but instead of a shipping like we normally do, they were on the Family Values tour. And so they were in DFW. And they were doing a show with like Manson, Limp Bizkit.
Marilyn Manson?
Okay.
I didn't know that they were even around. I thought he was done by that time. Last thing I remember about Marilyn Manson was literally when Eminem rapped about him in his album.
You don't necessarily follow rock.
I don't, but I'm just saying, like, I knew who he was.
From Eminem?
Well, no, I knew who he was before that, like the type of person that he was. You know, he had the whole, well, it wasn't him, let me not say that, but the whole Columbine thing, and they were trying to, you know.
Pin it on it, yeah.
So I knew of Marilyn Manson, but I just didn't know, like, I mean, I knew his popularity at the time, but I feel like it was gone, and then Eminem came and said that.
He wasn't as big. I'll give you that. I mean, it wasn't. It was just a lot of different bands.
I mean, I thought he was a big personality, but you mean he wasn't as big as at the time?
It wasn't. You know, peak Manson was what?
Like late 90s.
Yeah, Sweet
like
Dreams,
90s,
stuff like that. So this was not peak Manson by any
back when I was in high school.
Correct. So this was
years ago, huh?
He was there, so it was like it's kind of cool. So when we dropped off the shirts, they actually let us go backstage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because to their tour bus to drop off and they were like, oh, let's, the next thing you know, they're introducing us.
Smoke out together. No, I'm just playing. You know they didn't.
So they're introducing us to different people. So that was kind of cool. And then, like I said, I had tons of shirts. Just tons of shirts. There's just something about it. It was a great job. Great job.
That's awesome, man. What about you? What's the best job you ever had? Was it the pawnbroking job?
Yeah, it was the best and worst job I ever had.
That's the case for a lot of
That
people.
It
happens.
was fun though. Every day was different. You never knew what was walking through the door.
You have anybody ever sell like their gold teeth?
Yeah, one of the first people I ever helped out was this like 300-pound woman. Popped that grill right out of her mouth with this big slobber of spit coming and
And
set
said,
it
how
on.
much can I get this for?
Yes, tried to hand it to me directly, and I'm like, you can set it on the
Yeah,
counter.
that's fine.
First of all, what is it with you and fat people that happen to give you issues? Like, are we gonna have a problem later? Do I need to lose weight real quick before we have an issue?
That's great.
He's having everything has a fat person in his stories.
Yeah.
He's got you're like the dude from Family Guy, the one that was out there just strangling fat people.
The fat guy
The
strangler.
fat guy strangler. Like you have a problem with him.
That was one of the best episodes.
Pow, right in the kisser. What is going on here?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, you see that a lot with a lot of people. The best and worst is the same job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of fun. I basically got to play guitars all day and hang out with people I liked.
You see some interesting stuff from time to time, I'm sure.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
day was a different story.
So that's the best when you can kind of have like some camaraderie and like people you know at work, and I don't know, it just makes the job funner. Makes you want to like I don't know complete tasks more, I guess, or something. I don't know.
People also pointed guns at me all day, which was
Yeah.
that got old real quick.
I'm
yeah,
sure.
I mean,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
Oh,
Let's,
it's not
like a-
loaded.
let's not talk about our childhoods. That's easy. That's nothing.
I did grow up in Stop Six.
Yeah, see, I mean, that's a nice area. There's great people over there. What are you talking about?
I guess I never had a gun pointed at me when I was a kid. So.
No?
Nah.
Oh. You want me to go get one real
No,
quick?
no, I'm
And I'll-
good. I'm good.
Show you what
I'm
it feels
good.
like?
Yeah, I'm good.
No. Nah, I would never. Yeah, getting a gun pointed at you is not fun.
I can imagine. Loaded or not loaded, either way, it's probably not a great feeling.
They're all loaded.
That's what. Yeah, you're right. That's you always treat it like it's loaded, regardless.
Sure.
That's why I mean, that's the first.
I will find this out when I go through classes.
You will, man. It's fun. We need to go shooting though. I remember we were talking about that. Now I'm going on the symphony, but yeah, I mean, it's fun shooting guns, man. It's just.
Like I told you, it's been I was 13 the last time I shot a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say how old I am now, but it's been a while.
He's 57.
I am 64.
I'll tell you the story of the first time I shot a shotgun. It was the first time I ever met my ex-wife's father.
Oh,
I
God.
was 15 years old.
Hold on, real quick. Was he fat?
No.
I just had to make okay.
You found the non-fat story.
But this probably isn't a bad story though. Oh, he's husky. See, here it is. God damn. Go on.
So we want to go swimming, so we have to stop at our house to get a swimsuit. And I did not know her parents are going to be there. She did not know her parents were going to be there when we walked in. Just out of the blue, did not know we were coming there. He's cleaning his guns on the
fun.
kitchen table. And I'm
Awesome.
not talking one or two guns. I'm talking he's got 50 guns
I can believe it. Yeah.
literally spread out over his kitchen table
It's like, oh, yeah, it's nice tonight. I'm going to clean my
This-
guns.
This is in Texas.
in Texas.
Yeah.
All
Sounds
right,
about
great.
right.
Yeah, so it
With
sounds
this
about right.
15-year-old boy meeting his daughter, his adopted daughter.
And you were like, "Oh, hey, Mister."
It's got to be the most uncomfortable feeling. You walk in, you're like,
So now I see why he wasn't fat. I see why he was
He
husky.
was a great guy, but he terrified the fuck out of me.
That's
I can
good.
believe it, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
He did it right. That's exactly how I would do it. Even
Just
the fact that
shining
he didn't
it,
plan it, yeah. But
cleaning it
they
up.
leave the room like right off the bat, and he looks at me and says, "Have you kissed my daughter yet, boy?"
oh.
While he's holding a shotgun.
I was like,
No,
"Ugh."
sir. I
No,
don't
I
even know
don't
how to
do.
kiss.
I don't even wanna
What
kiss
is this
her.
kissing that you
My
talk
mom
about?
told me you can get girls pregnant by just holding their hand, so I didn't even touch their hand yet.
Yeah.
I don't do that, sir. Kissing, ugh, gross cooties.
That's great.
I don't mess with the cooties, sir.
So we chatted up a little bit, and then he's like, "Have you just shot a gun?" And I was like, "Well, I've shot guns. Never shot a shotgun." And he's like, "We're gonna go shoot." And then
That's actually kind of cool.
yeah.
Well, I mean, kind of. He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go shoot. Let's go. Get in the back."
We're going to go shoot. You stand over there.
Well, the part that scared me is as we're walking out, my ex, I married her eventually, but my ex-wife comes out of the back, and then we're going outside with guns, and I'm thinking she's going to come, and she starts to follow, and he looks at her and says, "You stay right here."
Oh, no.
And
See?
I'm like, okay,
No.
this is about to take a turn.
I'd be like, "Sir, you know what? My beeper's going off. It's 911.
Which I could
If
have.
I don't call my mom, she's gonna think I'm holding her hand, and I don't want her to think I'm
Yeah,
holding her hand.
yeah.
I
We're on.
wish I knew you back in the day.
See, I would have got
It's
you.
not as smooth.
I would have got you out.
That
of it,
would have
sir.
been so uncomfortable.
Well,
I was told I should have been a lawyer.
Well, I'm on the porch and I hold the shotgun up and it's about 12 inches off my shoulder. And I look at him and I'm like, is this good? And he says, pull the trigger. So I pull the trigger on that. I don't know what gauge it was, but that thing kicked back and he had to reach out and grab it out of my hand. And I thought I broke my collarbone. It hit me so hard.
You can break it, especially if you don't even know how you're holding it right. You don't have it right.
Yeah.
You don't have it placed.
You're like, yeah,
proper-
this is good.
properly. You just got it like up here on your
Your
shoulder.
arm flies off. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, this is. Thank you. This is a great experience.
I think I want to go home now.
Yeah.
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 He's like, you still like my daughter? No.
It's what's funny is the first girl I ever dated. It's kind of similar. I was 16, I think, and before I took her on her first date, they had planned this as a joke. Is that I'd met her dad before he actually liked me, but I show up and he's on his porch cleaning his shotgun, and it was like I knew he liked me, but still, it's kind of unnerving.
Yeah.
No, I don't, yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't sound too fun to go to your girlfriend's house and there.
you haven't had yeah.
I've never had that happen to me. I've never gone to a girl's house and her dad was just cleaning the shotgun and said,
We can make it happen.
"Nah, we're good." But I mean, you can try and make it happen nowadays. I'm pretty good strapped myself too, so I'd be like, "Oh, it's pretty cute. You got that little thing there."
You're like, let me see it. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You ain't even got nothing in this. Let me see. We'll take
That's
this
great.
thing.
Let me show you what I learned from John Wick. Just like speed load it real quick.
Yeah. Show them how to use it properly.
That's great.
He's
Yeah,
like, you know what? I never even knew how to load it.
yeah. It's funny. It wasn't 50 guns. I'm sure he had 50 guns, but yeah,
That's
kind of
just what was
similar.
on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure I was 15, so I may be exaggerating a little bit, but it was a ton of guns.
They say there are more guns in the United States than there are people, so I totally believe it.
Yeah.
Totally believe it.
There you go. All right. Back to jobs.
Sorry,
No, we're good. It's it's great.
it's free form.
Yeah. Is there a job that you would want to do nowadays? Like, is there something that you really want to do that you would love to do and be happy doing it?
Screen printing T-shirts,
You want to go back to doing that,
wholeheartedly.
and you loved it.
Yeah, it was a job, so I didn't get paid by the hour.
Got paid by the job.
No, I got paid weekly. It wasn't great back then, but I didn't need a lot of money back then. Now, the guy that I worked with, I'm going to kind of go into, I don't want to go, yeah, I know y'all have heard it, but for the people that haven't really heard it, it started off with me and I met a friend of mine and he was doing it out of his garage. And he wound up, to kind of condense it, he invited me to help him, kind of paid me under the table. It was just me and him. Within that first year, he made $30,000. So not a lot of money. He was still working a second job.
Okay.
Now, well, technically the screen printing was his second job. So he would work.
That's the side hustle.
He was doing 8 to 5. And then when he got off, he would print. Well, it got to where he was printing T-shirts until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and then getting up and going to work. And so he goes,
dead.
at this point, I'm going to go ahead and quit my normal. And so by that time I had joined him. He's not paying me much, paying me under the table. And actually, I lived with him. At that point, he invited me to live, and so I didn't have rent. So I got paid and didn't have
living
to.
free.
So even though I wasn't making much money, I didn't have much going out.
Out. Yeah. Okay.
And so within 5 years, we were doing over $1 million.
Damn.
Now, I wasn't necessarily
You weren't getting it.
no, but at that point, we were doing so well that we had moved into out of his garage into an actual place that was strictly for printing.
I would hope at making $1 million after you.
Well, that was kind of the nice thing when it first started because he didn't really have overhead.
Facts.
If you think about it, because it's out of his garage, he's using his electricity. So you're not paying rent, you're not paying this. So it's just more money coming in. And it didn't feel like a job because we didn't punch a clock. There were days we would wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning and be like, you know what? I don't feel like doing anything today. Just want to get some nachos and watch movies. Yeah. Or we would watch movies while we printed.
Okay. So you just kind of more liked the freedom and the just kind of whenever you want to get into it kind of thing. That's cool.
Even if it meant working late, it still didn't feel like a job because he had 700 movies. He's the one that introduced me to Quentin Tarantino. And so that's how I actually, he was like, all right, let's start watching them in order. So we'd pop it in, and you're just printing shirts, watching movies, talking. Like, how is, and I'm getting paid.
That's not even work at that point. It's just something that you like, yeah.
So, and then after a while, I was making decent money. I was getting into the design aspect of it. And any jobs I got, he was paying me a percentage of on top of the normal because I was bringing that in. We had 5 people working underneath us. I'd moved up to kind of like a production manager type thing. And then this was about 2008 when the crash happened.
Oh, okay. The housing market crash and all that, and the banks. Okay.
Yeah, and people went through that real hard time. People stopped buying shirts. And so...
Same time I shut down my company.
Yep.
Video production.
Yep.
I worked for 4 years at home. Same deal. Kind of, I was my own boss. So it's
something about it. It doesn't feel like work.
I don't wake up. You don't want to work. You don't work.
You don't work.
And then what I would do is I would have deadlines. So I'd have projects I have to get done. And I would just know, okay,
Exactly.
I could work a little bit every day, or I could work nonstop for like 3 days and get it done.
And
I would
was
do that.
Same here.
It was fun.
It was like, okay, we've got to get these shirts shipped out by then. Yeah, we can knock it out tomorrow. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
You're still going to get your money and still take off a day. And then that's what makes it feel great because it doesn't feel like a job because you're doing it whenever you want to do it.
See, I like, okay.
And it's your money. It's your money. You're just, how do I want to do it?
Right.
Yeah, you're on your boss. And that's, I would do that wholeheartedly again in a heartbeat because.
Do you think if you started that again now, you think it would be successful though, like in this kind of day of age, like how the stuff is?
With the economy, well, pre-COVID, I would say absolutely. It's kind of hard for small businesses
but I mean,
now.
I feel like a lot of people are doing like T-shirts and their own tees. Like you got musicians making their own T-shirts and stuff now. So it's not, where would you essentially get your business from? Just like rando people like, hey, I want this shirt made kind of thing.
So similar, were you going to chime in with something?
Yeah. Podcast. They make their own T-shirts.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to have our own eventually.
Yeah, we're going to get merch. People, stay tuned.
For sure. We actually, speaking of that, we actually got these cool cups right here made by our last guest. His name is Brian.
What's the name of his company again?
CMR Design.
I was going to say it because it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks good.
And
thank you, sir.
Yeah, shout out. Thank you very much because these are awesome.
Yeah. Look at that. Get that right there.
Listen,
yeah, get it in there. Thank you, sir, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I want to start getting into that eventually where we do our own stuff. But yeah, you're exactly right. Podcasts. I've actually, my best friend, his wife, she does something similar. Not necessarily screen printing, but right now she's making, well, the last I heard, the last month she did 90 grand. The month before that was 80 grand. And the month before that was about 60 grand. And that's during this period where it's kind of hard and it's all through Facebook.
At established clients.
No.
I was thinking about getting into that.
She literally has a boutique. I'm going to give her a shout out. I think it's Simply Charming Boutique on Facebook. Okay. And what it is she sells transfers. She doesn't actually do the shirt. So like this right here, right? So this is screen printed. It's not a transfer, but transfer is a heat press.
Okay.
So you have the design, you put it on, heat, boom, there's your design on the shirt. So she sells just the transfers.
Okay.
And she's making money doing that.
Okay. So like basically someone can send in any kind of design and then she can just do a heat transfer.
No. So what it is she contacts companies that have transfers, buys the transfers from the company at X amount of dollars, and then posts it on her boutique, says you can buy this shirt for or this transfer for the X amount of dollars.
Oh, okay.
And so she has 800 different transfers. And so literally, she just built a building to where she has 2 computers.
So she must have had she had to have at least a good little bit of money to be able to get that started.
Well, it didn't start off at 800. She built it up to that.
She got it.
She's been doing this for about a year now, and she just built a building where she literally has it's just shelves everywhere inside of it, and it's the number of the transfer. So when people place order on Facebook, it'll tell her transfer number 758. She goes to transfer number 758, pulls 100 of them, ships it. That's it. That's all she does.
That's awesome.
And she's making money doing that.
That's good. That's
awesome.
awesome.
$60K a month.
$90K the last month.
$90K last month in less than a year.
Yeah.
We need to get into that too, then.
I'm telling you, you could do it.
I almost bought a printing press. I think I talked to you a little bit about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just worried it's too competitive now.
Well,
See, that's
and
what I'm
that's-
thinking. I feel like it's just too much.
You see, that's the crazy thing. They actually bought a screen printing press. I went with them because they knew I did it. So they were like, "Is this a good price?" And it was a good price. I went with them, picked it up, looked at it. It was in great shape. Helped them set it up because they had never set up a screen press. It was a 6-station, 6 colors, so 6 shirts at a time.
And where's your
$6.
percentage?
I didn't get
I'm
anything.
just playing. I'm just playing.
Hopefully one day they'll just go ahead and let me run it. But they actually are not using it because she goes, "Why would I screen print when I'm making enough not having to pay someone
And just
to do
doing the
that?"
transfer.
The quality is so much better on a screen print.
I agree.
In my opinion.
That's what I was going to ask
hold
next. Like,
up.
on the transfer, once they put it on there, how is it like when you wash your clothes? Is it something
It'll
that
last
just kind
for
of
a
rips
while.
off?
It's not going to last as well as screen printing will if screen printing is done right.
Mm.
But it won't last as. I mean, you probably get 100 washes.
Is that something like you'd better just hand wash versus like throwing it in a washing machine?
Nah, I wouldn't say so.
No? Okay.
You should be fine either way. It just, I mean, anything's going to fade after time, but it's one of those. To me, so here's the difference. So when you screen print, it's actually going into the fibers of the shirt and then adhering.
Holding.
When you heat press it, it's just literally laying on top and then pressing into it.
I feel like I did that back in
A lot of
high
people
school,
have.
like
Yep.
9th or 10th grade. I
I
feel
did
like
it in high school. Yep.
I feel like I did that. I even feel like I made a coffee cup. Actually, drew. This is back when I used to be able to draw because I used to draw like anime characters like Dragon Ball Z. I'm pretty sure I drew like Freezer or something, and I put it on my cup, and it was in purple and white. And I wish I would have kept that mug. I really liked that mug, but it was dope. And I think that we did that same thing in the class. Like, put that on there and then heat press the
Yep.
logo.
Yep.
So I can see it. I just don't remember it. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not a hard process. They even bought, so she actually has a couple different things. She has a couple of heat press stations if they want her to do it, and then she charges extra. She has some shirts on hand. She sells just the transfers, and then she actually also has a what's called a DTG machine. It's a direct to garment machine. So think of an ink printer, but onto a shirt. So you put the shirt on there, put it in, it prints onto the shirt, and you pull it off.
Okay.
And it's actual like ink.
But do they have
it's
shirts that
interesting.
like will do? I mean, shirts. Do they have machines that will like stitch something onto it too, like a logo?
That's embroidery. So that's a little bit. She doesn't do any of that.
Okay.
So when I did the screen printing thing, we offered embroidery. We didn't actually do it. We partnered with another company and that was local, and they would give us a break for going through them, and then we would mark it up and just outsource it to them.
Outsource it. That makes
And then
sense.
we would swing by, pick it up, and then ship it out. Because the main thing we did, yes. Okay, so here's the thing why I think her business does really well, even in times like these. Everyone needs shirts.
Yeah, I mean, you're always gonna need clothes.
So a lot of schools are huge because of all the different functions they'll have. They will buy 100, 200 shirts.
Makes sense.
So we actually, when I was doing the screen printing, we had a couple of college universities. We did a lot for them, like sororities, fraternities, stuff like that. Majority of our business came for bands, but we actually did a lot for businesses. So with businesses, they'll do like the pocket shirts, and then they'd want something either embroidered above the pocket or on the pocket. So that would be where we would outsource it, or hats or something like that.
Okay, I like
You ever do
that.
poster prints?
We didn't actually get into poster prints.
That's
I
what I
wanted
like.
to.
You ever heard of Mondo?
Uh-uh.
So Mondo's this company out of Austin. They do limited edition poster prints.
See, that's legit.
They started doing stuff for like Alamo Drafthouse, where they did movie posters.
See, that's legit.
Or at least this is what I've heard anyway. But they now they do like tiki mugs and clothes, and they do vinyl presses.
See, that's legit.
But it's all custom. But they sell their stuff. It's limited. There's only 150.
Yep.
It's very high quality. They team up with certain artists, and they do this crazy poster print, and it's a huge market.
Oh yeah.
I've got such a big collection of those.
We used to get a request from bands all the time. Hey, can you do posters? Can you do posters? We just never got into that side of it. We were kind of getting there because towards the end, before we shut down, we started doing. So keep in mind, this is more than 10 years ago. So back then, you didn't really see a whole lot of the all over front designs of printing.
You just had like a little logo
You know,
or like a word
correct,
here or
yeah.
there.
I mean, or the max, like something like this. And then bands wanted really big prints. So we made oversized platens, started doing really big prints. So that kind of got us stuff to where we were going on to the sleeves and stuff like that.
That stuff brings more money on a resale.
Yep.
Like, because I do resale online, and the older, like early 90s all over print,
It's
or
huge.
the big prints, you get a lot more money for that stuff.
And
It's
so
like a t-shirt from like 1994 is worth like $300.
it's crazy.
Making money.
That's where we started. It was, and that's kind of how we landed. It's like, oh yeah, we can do that. I mean, so we started doing that, and then towards the end, we actually started experimenting. So there's different types of inks you can use in screen printing. We had some glow in the dark stuff. We had
I bet that was awesome to play with.
Do you remember the Affliction shirts when they started making it huge and they had foil? We
Oh,
started
yeah.
getting into that. So that's actually screen printing.
Oh, wow.
You would screen print glue and then put the foil over it, dry it, and then peel it off, and then it sticks to it.
Oh,
I have
wow. Oh, my
some
God.
foil poster prints from
See.
Mondo.
See, and it,
I'll
A
send you
foil
photos.
poster print. Wow. I don't even know what that would look like.
it'd
I'll
have
send
the
you
shine.
photos.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, my God.
It'd be awesome looking.
Every time I go to a concert, that's my keepsake. Most people buy T-shirts. I buy the
foil
poster
posters.
prints that you can only buy at that show.
Which-
See, when I go
which
to
is
concert, I
cool.
love to get the sweaters.
Yeah.
Unless I'm
Yeah.
broke, then I'll settle for the t-shirt because the sweaters are usually like $180 now,
Yeah.
and the t-shirt's like $60. So
And here-
I'm big on getting the stuff that you can only get while you're at the show. 'Cause
See, that's
most of
cool.
their garments you can get online.
And
Yeah,
that's
I hear
true.
you.
And the other thing about it too is if you think about like shirts, if you wear them, you're either going to wind up tearing them, they're going to fade, especially if it's something you wear a lot, they're going to wear out. But those posters, you're going to put them up or hang them up.
They're
They're
all
going to be
framed.
there.
they're going to be there.
I have
Oh,
tubes and tubes full of stuff I have
Yeah.
framed.
So that makes sense behind the posters because you get more longevity out of it.
makes sense.
Then we started experimenting with something called sublimation. Sublimation is a little different in the fact of instead of printing into the fibers of the shirt, you print. It's a special chemical, and so when you print it and you don't see anything, and then when you dry it, it actually bleaches out where the print is. So you're actually dyeing the fabric of the shirt.
Wow.
So that way, when you wash it, you're not
Messing it up.
correct.
It's all in the dang. There's a lot to go into this.
Oh, yeah.
This is crazy. This
Puffy
is like
ink, non-puffy ink.
this should have literally been one of those episodes like on the History Channel of like how this is made.
or on that show, how it's made.
Yeah, ain't that what's kind of on the History Channel?
It's on. Is it history? I don't think it's history.
Oh well, my bad. I don't know what
I think it
channel.
is.
I don't
Actually,
want.
maybe. Now that I
I
think
think
about
it
it,
is, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought, but I don't know. I don't watch it enough to know the actual channel.
it's a fascinating process. And like I said, we were really kind of going that direction. We did koozies, we did hats, we did all sorts of stuff. And we were eventually going to get into some of the posters and stuff like that. But we just, and then after that, he had to start cutting people because he couldn't afford it. 'Cause
Makes sense, 'cause
People
it
weren't,
was-
and that's when I left because he couldn't afford to keep me on. And
So-
honestly, at that point, his name had grown, of the business had grown so much. And there's a company in Fort Worth called Fort Worth Screen Printing that's been around for, I think it's 60, 70 years. It's been around a long time. And they can do the really large stuff we couldn't do, even larger than what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times that we'd go over there to pick up orders and they let us walk through their facility and they have, 5, 6 automatic presses going, 30, 40 employees work. I mean, they're just nonstop. Well, he had gotten such a good rapport with them that he wound up being able to outsource everything to them and him just be a middleman using the name. He didn't need to pay employees. He was making enough money off that he didn't have to do anything. He just sat at his computer and just be like, yep, order, send, order, send, order, send.
Just making it hand over fist easy.
And I wasn't mad at him. It was like, I totally get it. And so that's when things shifted. But that's why I would go back. I just
Go back to doing it.
It never felt like a job.
That's a good reason to do it.
And that's why I would do it again. I mean, unless you're talking hypothetical. Like hypothetical, yeah, I don't want to be in a band. Make it huge.
Well, I mean, whatever your dream job may be, I mean, whatever you would like to do. I mean,
that would
yeah.
be great. But
I'm okay with this.
yeah, our podcasting is
Can we
Yeah,
just do this?
I mean, yeah, I would love for our
Love this.
podcast
Somebody
to
pay me?
blow up.
Yeah,
we get paid for it.
everyone
and
blow
it'd be
this
amazing.
up so we get paid for it. And I
Yeah.
tell you what, we'll start a screen printing company on the side, and then we'll do that too.
Yeah, see.
We'll just do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, if I had to have my dream job, obviously I want to keep this, make this huge, but obviously I want to do movies. I would
Yeah.
love to be on the big screen, even if it's just one movie, even if it sucked. I just want to be able to go to the movies and watch myself in a movie, have my friends there, and if it sucked, clown me, joke on me, whatever you want. I don't care.
You
but
ever been in a local short film?
Yeah, I've done shoots for a show. I went to Mexico actually, and I was just like an extra on that in a crowd in an actual Mexican movie.
That's awesome.
I mean, I've done things. There was a, I don't even know if it is because it's public now. But so I had a chance to go for the next Stranger Things. I think I said that last time, maybe on the podcast. I'm not too sure, but the Stranger Things, I tried to get in on that.
It's like my favorite show.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I had an opportunity to try.
That's right. We did have this discussion. I think it was either on the podcast or at work.
Yeah, I can't remember
since we all work together.
Right. Yeah,
that's
I can't
the downside. This stuff blends together.
Right.
Well. But yeah, you have to watch that show.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm catching up on everything.
The 80s on point.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm catching up on everything, so I'll watch it. Watching the South Park episode of them making fun of it makes me want to watch it more too. But yeah, that'd be what I would really love. Like, I thoroughly enjoy us coming in here talking about whatever. I mean, I would really love for people to just start commenting on our page on things that they would want us to hear, talk about, and I would gladly talk about it. I don't know. It's fun. I enjoy both of you guys. I enjoy y'all's.
That's a good call to action.
Yeah.
What do you guys want to see? Comment down below.
Yeah.
We'll
comment
for sure. We'll talk about anything
subjects,
and everything.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much nothing's off limits at this point, I would think. I mean,
not at all.
You know, we could talk about relevant topics of today. We could talk about all sorts of different stuff. Yeah, if you're watching or listening to this, absolutely comment. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to see. We'll try to work it in
for sure.
Because ultimately, we enjoy this, and we do a lot of this for us because we enjoy it,
right? And
we're hoping that the people that are watching or listening are enjoying it as much as we are. And if you are, just let us know.
Yes.
I hope I said that well.
Yeah. But outside of that, the future jobs, let's go to what is the most unique or oddest job you've ever done?
Okay.
I don't think I have one personally.
I think I know where you want to lead this into, and I will agree. When I worked at the nuclear power plant.
Yes, I want you to talk about working at a nuclear power plant. That is the most craziest thing to me.
So that was an interesting job. I'm not going to say worst. I'm not going to say best. Interesting for sure.
First of all, how do you even get hired?
So it's actually so nuclear is federal.
Okay.
It's federally controlled, so it's governmental controlled. How I actually got into it. So I grew up in Glen Rose, Texas.
Okay.
In between Glen Rose and Granbury, Texas, there's a nuclear reactor. And so what they would do is every 18 months, they have two reactors. Every 18 months, they shut one reactor down for maintenance. And so I wasn't on there full time. When they would shut it down, they called them outages.
Okay.
So what they would do is they would do a mass hiring of people. Now, there's several different companies that integrate, well, not necessarily outsource, that integrate into this.
Okay.
So Westinghouse, I'm sure you've heard of Westinghouse.
I have not.
Really? Because they're a massive company. There's Westinghouse TVs. There's all sorts of stuff. Westinghouse, Shaw Construction. I'm trying to remember the big crane operators. It was a big company. You'd probably know the name if I could remember the name. But
Walmart?
No. Yeah. I mean, they do control a lot. But no. So essentially,
Amazon. No.
So essentially, what they would do is all these
Internet
different
Walmart.
companies.
What'd you say?
Amazon is known as Internet Walmart.
Yeah, that's
okay.
true. That's very true.
Yeah. See.
Internet Walmart and close to Netflix online, since they have their own original stuff, and they're. You talk about vertical integration. They did a lot of that. And that's actually really cool. I enjoy that. So what they would do is these companies, it wasn't, so the name of the nuclear power plant, I'm sure it's okay I say this, it was Comanche Peak. So Comanche Peak doesn't hire people to come work. So I went and applied at Shaw Group, which is the construction company, and got hired on. So what they do is they do a mass influx of people. So they'll I think it's about a month before the shutdown, because it's been a while since I've done this. About a month before they shut down the reactor, they hire people to come in. There's different types of jobs. You have scaffolders, building scaffolds, getting ready for the outage. You got, I was considered utility. So pre-outage, I literally just swept.
Like you did the sweeping of like the floors everywhere?
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of hard to go into all this. So where you have the two nuclear reactors is not anyone can just walk into that. So prior to you going into there, they have these turbine buildings, and they're multiple floors. And here's the interesting thing that a lot of people probably don't know. It is extremely interesting is they do not run off floor numbers. It's not, I'm going to floor 1, 2, 3. It was literally, okay, I'm going to 504. I'm going to 787. I'm going to, I can't remember all of them. They name their floors based off of the elevation of the sea level.
So I was going to ask that too. So there was a large body of water, right? Because these reactors have to work off water?
Yeah, this one actually ran into Lake Granbury.
Okay. So that's what I was thinking, because I don't know who I was, maybe it was you I was speaking to about that, and I was like thinking that there had to be a large body. Yeah, and
they have to have the water to come in to
cool the reactors, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Before you go further though, so like how exactly did you know like these people were hiring? Like what made you go, you know what? I'm gonna go work at a nuclear power plant today.
Because I actually had a friend that was on there with them before the outage, who let me know, is like, hey, they're about to do it. You need to apply here. Because
like I wouldn't even know to like go, oh, you know what? I want to work for a nuclear power plant, especially being, you know, in my 20s or even, you know, teenage years. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go work for a power plant. Like that thought has never crossed my mind.
He was working as a carpenter for him full time, and they swapped him whenever the outage started to being a scaffolder just during the outage. And he was like, hey, you know, they're about to do an outage. Apply it. Now here's the thing about an outage. So it's normal. They do 4 10s. So you would work Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day. Okay. So pre-outage. Once outage hits, you work 6 12s. So you pretty much are working nonstop. So not a whole lot of time to do anything. So prior to the outage, I'm sweeping floors. I'm cleaning the bathrooms. Literally just the worst job there, honestly. It was the lowest paying. It was the lowest you could do.
You were on the custodian.
Is basically what it was. Now, once the actual outage started, it went totally different. Utilities role kind of swapped. So they have these turbine buildings, and then you go and you have the nuclear reactor. Before you can access the nuclear reactor, they have a desk that you walk up to. It's radiation protection. It's a group of people named the radiation protection team, and they have head scientists and all that. So prior to them shutting down, I had to start prepping for things. So I actually had to go into the nuclear reactor while it was running. And so you would have to show up. They would know the job you're doing and where you would need to go. So they would actually open up this map and they'd go, okay, for this job, you're allowed to receive X amount of radiation. So there was 2 factors. One, how much you could take for the length that you were there, and how much you could take at one time. So you had 2 different parameters.
How did they know? Or was it just like a test? And
so what they'd give you is they give you a little device that you'd clip onto your PPE. And it would measure the amount of radiation you're receiving at that moment, and then keep track of how much you're receiving overall.
Were you scared? Like,
first time, yeah.
Like, what the hell? I'm
first
about to
time,
walk into radiation?
Correct. The first time you think about it, because you kind of walk in nonchalantly.
Like you've been there before? Like, oh, I've done this.
Well, the way they have it set up, like going out is totally different than going in. So going in, it's the desk. You're like, oh, I got to do this. They hand you your thing. This is what you can do. All right. And then they got this guard station right before the doors. And then you walk in through the doors. You take an elevator down to, I think, and this is the weird thing, the floors in the actual nuclear reactor were different than the floors in the turbine. So it was like 343, all this. It is weird. So you immediately go there and you walk in and it feels normal, right? You're just kind of walking through these hallways. And then you start going into rooms and they have signs everywhere where there's high radiation points and stuff like that. Scary. Coming out was the weird part. So coming out, you would have to go through this machine. You would stick your arm in one side and it would measure your body. Turn around, stick your arm in the other way to get to the other side of your body, get the front, the back, to make sure there's not what they call fleas on you. So radiation particles can actually kind of jump.
So The Simpsons was true when that little thing jumped into his little bag.
No, yes and no. It does not glow green.
It doesn't glow green.
You don't see nothing.
That's interesting.
But a little hotspot flea could pop off, and I actually had it happen to me once, where I was going through and the machine went nuts. Now, let me back up because it's been a while since I've done this. Prior to you entering this machine, there's another machine that looks like a microwave, and anything you took in with you, whether it was gloves, like actual leather gloves, tools, because they so they actually have a tool room inside of the reactor and a tool room outside of the reactor, so the tools don't get too mixed up. But you'd have to take stuff in and out every now and then. You put it all in this microwave, shut the door, and it measures for radiation.
A microwave?
That's the closest I can describe it.
Okay.
It's not a microwave. But
Okay, I was
that's
like,
what it
wait,
looks
what?
like. You open it, you put your stuff in it, you close it, and you just kind of wait. And then if it dings, you're good. If it starts like alarm blaring, you're not good. Then they got to look at your stuff.
Huh.
And then you go into the other machine. So I did have a hotspot flea one time that I had gotten onto my. They were required us to wear paper scrubs. So I had paper scrubs on, and it jumped onto my pants, my paper scrubs. So they actually had to cut the area out of the scrubs.
That makes sense why they make you do it now. Okay.
One person had it happen to his boots. They actually had to take his boot. He couldn't.
So if you keep that flea on you, I guess it can cause you super huge damage when you go home?
Not necessarily. I mean, you'll pick up some radiation. I mean, a flea's not going to put off that much.
But could it be dangerous? Like eventually, like you go out, you leave real world, you're
Not
just
really.
sleeping on it. You go to sleep next to it every day. You wake up, you go.
Not really. They told us stories all the time of how sometimes it would leak through, and like they found out years later that a guy had it on his boot. He'd been in his closet. Nothing ever happened. They just try to prevent anything going out.
Do you know? You probably don't, but do you know of like a lot of cases of like people getting cancer from working from there? No.
And the reason why is because it's federally mandated. So when I was doing this, and I did this for, I did 3 outages. So
you did like 3 tours.
essentially, and so this is over a couple of years. But every year, you actually get a letter from the government that tells you how much radiation you received during that time for the year. And if you exceeded a certain threshold, you could not work in the nuclear field. So they mandate it they try to, help people in the way that you're not going to get like super
sick.
You see what I'm saying? So they monitor that quite a bit.
Okay.
I did some stupid stuff in there. I mean,
Like
I'm not gonna
what?
lie. It was like you had this little thing that read radiation. Sometimes I'd walk up to a pipe, be like, "Let's see what I'm getting." Next thing you know, this thing is going off. I'm
my
like, "Whoa,
God.
I'm getting like 100 and something per second.
This man was just trying
I
to
was
like,
trying, man. I actually hugged the nuclear reactor at one point.
Oh my God, you're crazy. You must be young.
I was, and it was just cool. I don't know. It was so weird.
So paint the pit so when you walk in, you got all these people doing whatever. What does it look like to see the react? Is it like huge? Do you see
It
like
is.
just
It's
gobbles of water coming in, cooling it down?
So there's a couple different stages. Okay,
Fish coming through, dying.
Like,
You know what I mean?
So
3-eyed fish.
when it's running, there's a difference between when it's running, when it's not running, when they shut it down. So they always refer to it as the can, where the reactor is, because it almost looks like it's circular and it goes up. It's like almost like a bullet's the best way, because it kind of tops off. They call that the can.
Okay.
It's 10 feet thick. Let me see if I remember this correctly. It's 10 feet thick of cement
Sounds like me.
with steel in between it.
Y'all didn't get that? I'm sorry. I'm small.
It's made to withstand a jet flying into it.
Oh, wow.
Like literally, it's made to withstand that.
Oh, like the Twin Towers were made to like withstand jet fuel and they didn't.
That was kind of the
Interesting.
thing. Like they
Yeah.
referenced that a couple of times, but they made sure like when all that was going on. Now this was obviously years later, but if there's ever a terrorist threat like that, Comanche Peak's one that they monitor. Most all your nuclear reactors they monitor in case they.
I would assume that those are probably the most heavily protected, because you blow one of those up, you're leveling.
I'll explain how heavily protected.
We're like maybe a minute away from the fighter jets going to Glen Rose. Like the Fort Worth base is so close.
Oh yeah,
They'll be there in minutes.
yeah.
It would make so much sense, because I mean that's like you.
Which may not be a coincidence. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's not.
Because Comanche Peak's been there for a while. I think they built it in the 80s, if I remember correctly.
Right next to the alien bunker.
Yeah. So to kind of give you an idea of how intense the security was. So before you can, when you're going through the hiring process, you have to go through an FBI background check.
Okay.
And it is extensive. They make you take a 300 question kind of like test type of thing for your psychological profile. It felt like it asked the same question several different ways.
And you passed?
I passed.
Wow.
Figure that out.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay.
They fingerprint you.
So it sounds like getting a gun. It's easy.
Yeah. They fingerprint you. They run that through the FBI background check. So I cleared everything. So once you get that, you get your badge and you're able to go in. So when you're actually driving into the power plant, there's a guard station. And so you have to have your badge. So you show your badge, and that's the first checkpoint. Then you actually get to proceed further in. So
are they like MPs, or are they just people that work for the?
So at the time, it was Securitas was the company that ran security, and they run with. They actually have AR-15s on them. They have their own shooting range out at the nuclear power plant. They run drills out at the power plant. And they make pretty good money too.
I bet they do.
I wouldn't mind actually getting on that kind of job. It's not bad. Anyways, but yeah, they have their own security. It's a company that hires it, but you go through the first base or the first checkpoint, and you drive again for like it feels like a quarter mile. And then there's this big parking area, and you park. And as you're walking up to the entrance point, there's literally concrete barricades every like 5 feet and staggered to prevent if someone was actually able to get through the checkpoint, say a big rig truck or anything like that, to be able to prevent them from actually running through. I mean, it's crazy, just positioned out. So then when you walk through the entrance, you walk through this door, and it's 4 metal detectors, 4 bomb detectors. Okay, 4 bomb detectors, and then you go through a metal detector, and then they scan all your stuff through a metal detector. So the bomb detector, literally you walk in, and it just shoots air. And then you kind of sit there for a minute, and then it gives you the green light or red light. You walk through. You're required to wear steel-toe boots working at a power plant.
Makes sense.
So you have to take off your boots, take off anything metal, put it in the thing, walk through the metal detector. Your stuff goes through. You walk through the guards, and then you're finally inside the chain link fence.
Okay.
This is just to get in.
Okay.
So then you go and you have your locker area and all that kind of stuff. And then as you're in the actual turbine area, then you're going to the nuclear reactor. You go through another security checkpoint. Why are you here? And you tell them you're on a job, yada, yada, yada. They check everything. Pass radiation protection, then you're into the can. So it's pretty strict.
Extensive.
Going in. You even go through metal detector when you leave. You go through another guard station when you leave. So they check you going in, going out. So they're very, very strict.
Okay.
If you don't have your badge on you and they catch you not anywhere on the plant without the badge,
They'll kick you out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's strict. It's super strict.
Dang. And I thought we had the badge police.
It's super strict. Super strict. And I get it. I mean, you're talking nuclear.
You're talking anything can happen. Makes complete sense, yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because they actually had a cafeteria on the thing where there's actually a couple of different like restaurant type things. Not restaurants, but you can go, today I want this. You can go over here to this one. So it's kind of cool.
Okay.
Now, when it's running, the can is, or the nuclear reactor is running, you walk into the can, it's hot, for one, because everything's sealed. You go through an airlock. So they open one side of it's a huge, it almost looks like a bank vault door. They have to unlock. It's airlocked.
Almost like a submarine kind of.
You go in, it shuts, you hear it seal, and then the inside opens.
Does your ears pop?
Mm-hmm. And then you go in, and it's kind of surreal because it's just a bunch of rooms. It literally is just like a normal building until you get to the center of it. And in the center of it's where you have the radiation pools, and then that's where they drop the cores into it to cool them off and all that kind of stuff. So I had to go in a couple times to prep prior to shutting down. One of the things I have to do is clean what was called the polar crane. So the polar crane, so the towers are massive. The polar crane sits at the top and it spins and then kind of moves this way along as it spins. So you can reach different areas.
You guys aren't in like suits like what you would see like from
okay. Yeah, let me explain that. There's so much, it's kind of hard
to
explain.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly interested, so I'm just like, man, I want to know. So
depending on where you're going, outside, so when you go to radiation protection, they will go, okay, you're going here, so you need to either have 1 set of PPE, 2 sets of PPE, or 3 sets of PPE. So there were times, some areas I went to, I literally had to put on 3 suits. So it was basically a cloth suit that would zip up. It's almost like a onesie in a way. I'd have to put 3 of those on, 3 sets of gloves, 3 sets of booties onto my feet.
God, dog.
So the reason why, and I get it, the further you go in, that try to keep the higher radiation stuff contained. So once you go in and you do your job, as you're coming out, they'll have a checkpoint, and you have to take off the outer layer of PPE. Then you go further out. Okay, now you take off the second layer until you finally get all the way out, and then you're down to your last set of PPE. But yeah, I had the hoods, I had the goggles, I had all that stuff. It wasn't yellow, it was white though.
Okay.
So, because you see a lot of that where it's radiation, it's all yellow. Yeah, it's all white for us.
Have you seen that? I think it's like a docu-series / show. Chernobyl. Have you seen it?
I didn't see it, no.
Okay.
I wanted to.
It's really good.
Yeah, I've heard it was fantastic. And when you go through orientation, they actually they talk a lot about Chernobyl. What went wrong, why it went wrong, how to prevent that. And of course, one of the myths they dispel right off the bat when you go through them is nuclear reactors do not blow up, they melt down. Mm-hmm. So that was one of their big things. They're like, oh, just why would all you hear the movies and it's not, it melts down.
So what would happen though? Like, did they ever tell you like what kind of precautions you would have to face? Like if it ever did melt down, like what do you have to do? Can you get out of there? Or are you just dead? Like what happened?
Yeah, there were security systems set up. Like you had intercoms set up all throughout the turbine into the can and all that. And that's where I actually learned do you call it the phonetic alphabet where you go like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo? Mm-hmm. That's where I learned that. Because when you would have to page someone, you would use that all the time. So yeah, they had security profiles set up where they would holler out stuff. We were never ever in any kind of dangerous stuff. So like Chernobyl, if I remember correctly from the training that we went through, a lot of that was due to the engineers inside the main operating room, but they just weren't paying attention, didn't handle things right, and it caused it to melt down. I only ever went into the engineering room maybe 3 or 4 times to clean. That's a pretty intense room. It's not actually inside the nuclear reactor. It sits outside, and it's kind of above everything, like you take an elevator up to it. But it was kind of unnerving because that's where the really smart people were.
Kind of just shakes right there from it. That was kind of,
like
y'all see that? That was like, oh, dang, that made me want to get a little chilly.
I don't know if it's that or
wow.
No, it's not the Red Bull.
Okay, yeah, you were just like, I was like, oh, wait a minute, like you ain't there, brother, calm down.
It was a little unnerving, but to go back, you go into the can. I was cleaning the polar clean. So I'm in like 3 sets of PPE because it's literally the heart of the reactor. And so I have to clean the polar crane. And I'll never forget the utility lead that he wanted volunteers, and I, of course, volunteered. But one of the things he said, he's like, look, he said, there's no safety harnesses up there. I was like, okay. He goes, no, what I mean is you'll learn to fly before you hit the ground. You're super high up there. And so we had to mop the top of it. So we have trash bags of mop heads. And we're climbing up these ladders holding these bags of mop heads. You're in 3 sets of PPE. It is hot because you're in a sealed environment. There's no outside air coming in, so it's stale. And you climb all the way up this thing. So I get up there, and I kid you not, it had like 2 I-beams that were maybe 10 inches wide, 12 inches wide. And you had to walk across that with no safety harness. You're looking over, and there's just the radiation pool down there. And you walk over and then tie off your rope. So in case you do fall, now you're good. But you have nothing until you get there.
So what happens if you fall into the radiation pool? Is it
you're dead.
Okay.
You're dead.
I was going to say, is it like something from like Suicide Club where Harley Quinn fell in and all her body turned white?
I don't want to know. Let's put it that way.
Somebody in the HR department deletes all your info.
Right, real quick,
exactly,
like this
exactly,
person never exists.
Exactly.
So wait a minute. So you're walking across it and you have no way to make sure you're good until you get to the end. What if you do fall? Like they say, hey, just don't look down?
Yeah, that's why you ask for volunteers.
Oh.
I wanted to do it because
it
just sounded interesting. And I'm going to be real. I hate heights. I cannot stand heights. So why I volunteered for this, I have no idea. I got up there and I was like, no.
I think I get why you did it though, because
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. But at the same time, like I hate heights also. but
It's one of those things. How often am I going to be able to say I climbed
this.
to the top of a nuclear reactor, walked across a radiation pool? How many people can
it's
say
a
that?
rush you get being scared and actually living, and it's just like, wow, I did this. And then once you finish, you accomplish it. Because like I'm afraid of heights too, but you know, we have the Six Flags or whatever. I've rode almost every high ride there. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, especially going on to the Titan, because it takes forever. It's like really slow build up there, and you hear the chain clinking, and you're like, I'm gonna die. And then not only that, the first time I ever rode it, it's like I get to the top, and I'm like, oh, we got an issue. So then they send the guy come walking up,
That's the worst.
and they're like, your seats are good, you guys are okay. And then it starts going, it's backwards, and I'm like, and he's got his face like,
Wait a minute.
and so then it starts going forward again, and he's like, okay, y'all are good, and we're like, wait, what? And then it just drops off, and I'm like, this is my first time ever being on this, and I'm on the front.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, great, I'm dead.
Did you black out when you hit the bottom?
Nah, I had a good
I
time.
almost black out every time. Not like where I lose consciousness, but I lose vision.
Oh no, I
From
had
the G to the
G-force?
G-force coming
No,
down, I
I
start
s-
seeing spots and it'll go black.
no, I saw everything, all the like the twists, and I was like, oh man, this is amazing, this is fun.
Oh, I love it. It's
So
my
that's-
favorite ride.
So I
there.
can see why.
I do not like the
You
Superman
had a
Tower
good
of Power
time.
though. That's
That ride's, I don't know, it wasn't really even fun. I mean, it was cool to go up and then come down and then stop,
no,
but it wasn't fun.
It wasn't. It was not cool. It was not cool to go all the way up and just sit there and wait for it to drop. It's like,
and then
come
it
on.
drops. You're
Just
waiting, they
come
don't
on.
know.
You're like, just drop me already.
My favorite was the Batman, but they told me because of my height, I'm 6'4". They're like, well, you have a risk of hitting that little pole there. Because there's like a pole thing. When they first had it, you get on, it's a vest thing that straps you and you're kind of dangling.
Yeah.
You had like your feet because I was so tall. So I was like, so then all right, have fun. So I don't know if the guy was joking or what, but the ride starts and I'm just
Terrible
like,
joke.
well,
That's a
cool.
terrible
Great.
joke.
Now I know I'm not going to have feet. So like the whole ride, I'm like going like this.
It's
Like
just
crunching my knees up.
Just like some of the I used to run the what was it Runaway Mountain? Was it Runaway Mountain where it's in the dark?
Oh, I used to love that one.
Yeah, it was
Love
Runaway
it.
Mountain.
But holding your hands up and then not knowing
If you're going to hit something,
you're like,
oh, yeah.
yeah.
Was
yeah.
it Runaway Mountain or was it called Texas something?
No,
Well,
it was Runaway Mountain.
Runaway
They
Mountain.
used to have the Texas Giant.
Yeah, that was the
big
all wood one, right? Yeah, that sucked.
That's
That
the
was
worst
hurt.
because it beats you to death.
Your
Yeah,
neck
you just-
breaks. They're like, hey, just let you know, if you ride this ride, you will get hurt. And you're
Yeah.
like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's always like, well, it's the oldest and largest wooden roller coaster, and it's like it still beats the hell out of me.
The
Yeah.
first one I ever rode.
Yeah, I think it was when I was young. It was the first one, and you're just sitting there just slamming across seats. Yeah, I hated. I still hate that one. I'll ride it, but I still hate it.
It was Six Flags where that guy got his head kicked off, right?
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
Well, I know a lady fell off of, I don't know if it was Titan, it was one of those rides. She slipped out and fell all the way out.
I always had that fear.
Well,
When-
there's
I
a
mean, I was
story-
always a bigger of a guy. Even when I was in shape, I was bigger, so I didn't fear it. I was like, no, I'll be stuck.
You know how when something happens to you, your legs in a cast or your arms in a cast, everywhere you go, everybody's like, "What happened to you?" And you get tired of telling that story.
Yeah.
Well, there's a dude out there that broke his foot because literally he was on one of those roller coasters where your feet hang,
Yeah.
Like the Batman.
like
See?
the Batman. And somebody had been on it before him, dropped their sunglasses or something in the middle of the ride. So they jumped a fence and they were underneath the ride trying to look for their item that fell out of their pocket. Well,
Dumb.
this guy kicks him in the head, kicks their head off. That's the story, of course. I'm sure it didn't happen
Oh,
exactly
wow.
like that. But his leg is shattered from it. And everywhere
That's
he's
crazy.
at, people are like, "What happened to your leg?"
Oh, I kicked some dude's head off so hard I broke my foot.
That is the weirdest story I've heard.
That's a good story. Why didn't you lead with that? When you
Like, I can't wait to go back and watch this on YouTube and see what my face was when we were telling it. That is
crazy.
Yeah.
and dumb. Just buy a new pair of sunglasses.
Yeah,
Wait,
for
so
sure.
did he say he kicked the dude on purpose, obviously, or it was an accident?
No, he was just coming in. The guy
And
just
how-
didn't realize where he was
How
at.
did he even get to there? No staff, no one knows the pause or anything. That's
I
insane.
mean, I feel like I could do that in some of the areas in Six
It may
Flags.
be one of those urban legend internet stories like
Could
we were
be.
talking about earlier.
like where you eat pot rocks and
So
drink
it
soda
is
and
true.
you,
I like
and you
to think
drink
that
soda
it's-
and you die. Right,
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah,
I like to think that it happened.
yeah. I mean,
Wow, I
life
know-
feels better knowing.
I
it
know I'm
happened.
gonna start telling this story.
That is so crazy. Oh, yeah.
That's insane. Kick the dude's head off and you broke your leg. That'd actually be kind of a cool story. Like, yeah, I got in a fight with this guy, kicked him so hard and knocked his head off.
That's
but I
just the
broke-
angle I went with it. Like,
Can you imagine too?
I just always think about that.
If you're the guy that did kick the other guy, obviously probably not on purpose, because you imagine you're going super fast, you come around a corner, oh, there's a dude, can't really react. But can you imagine, let's say it happened at the beginning of the ride. The rest of the ride, you're riding, your foot is fucking hurting.
And there's blood all over you. You don't even
and
know.
It's shaking you around. You're going everywhere.
And you're imagine? Like, and then I'm like, oh, I did hit one of those poles. They warned me. But next thing I know, I got the photo and it's me kicking a guy's head.
Right.
That would be insane.
That would be a priceless.
I bet he can't sleep at night. Well, he probably can now.
Probably
but
didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
Probably just hit something. He didn't know what was going down. It's going so fast.
That's tough.
Have you seen the? I think it's in Japan, that roller coaster where it's on top of the building, and at the end of it, it teeters you off the edge of the super high building.
Yeah, something
that's
like that in Vegas.
awesome.
No, that is stupid.
That's awesome. Look, I just
would
got
never
the chills
do
from
that.
it.
They used
I
to
would
have a
do it.
roller coaster on the side of a building. It goes around the building.
Well, they got that. They have I don't know where it is.
Shaking on that one.
Yeah, I don't know where it is, but they have this place where they have a pool on top of the building. But to get to it, you actually climb up all these stairs, and it's a thing that opens so water comes out, but you have to swim up. So you have to hold your breath, wait for it to open, then you pop your head up, and now you're at the pool at the top of it. That's awesome. So you're swimming up, you're holding your breath, and you finally get there, you pop out, and it's there. And then when you want to leave, you have to leave the same way.
No.
So you have to swim down, go through the hole.
Strippers up there. I'm not doing it.
Unless there is some sort of prize.
But just listen, wait a minute. Isn't that just amazing how they built that, though?
No.
Like, for it to open, you have to swim up to get out, and then people can swim down to get out. Like, don't you think it'd be crazy? Someone would get sucked in or sucked up to, like, fall. Like, how do they build it?
They'd have to flood the room for you to come out. I mean, you're not just swimming through water.
I don't know how it is. This is what I was told, so I don't know for sure. But they were saying this building is in maybe Abu Dhabi or one of those places in the Middle East that's super rich oil money people. But they have
some crazy
it may have been Dubai. Yeah, yeah. They actually have like indoor snow ski lodges.
Yeah,
in Dubai. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool.
Go skiing in Dubai.
I wonder how much that costs.
Probably a lot.
But as far as if that's cool, no, I would never do that.
I think I would do it.
I speak for all the smokers in the world when I say no.
I think I would do it. It's kind of like you walking on the top of the edge of the thing and about to fall off into a pool of vat of acid.
Water is the one thing, like, just no.
Oh, let me ask you this. Did you ever think there was a chance that you could become the Incredible Hulk?
No. No. I really...
Because my nerdy ass would have been like, you know what, if I touch these, because you said you hugged it. I'm like, well, what if I just touch them?
So when I say that, so this is what I mean. It's because there's probably, well, hopefully there's someone that's listening that's maybe worked an outage before. So when I say that, so when they actually shut down the reactor, and they'll open it up at that point. Because there's really not, I mean, yeah, there's still some radiation, but they'll actually open it up fully where there's no airlock or nothing like that. People can go in and out. So one of the things I had to do as part of utility was something called hole watch. Hole watch. So what that means is, so they would have to, so they had these legs of the reactor where you had to lift this steel plate off of these holes, and they'd go down there and check the welds. And so this is where like the water comes in and all that. So they make sure everything's good and all that. Well, part of my job was I had this little machine before they could go in, is I would sit there and I would drop this tube connected to this machine down there to check for chemicals, to make sure it's breathable.
Okay.
And once I got the green light, I'd pull it up, give them thumbs up, and they would go in. Well, the next part of my job was 2 parts. So it's hole watch and fire watch. So I keep dropping it in every so often to make sure the air quality is good. And I had to check if they were welding to make sure there was not random fires being started. So I literally just sat in a chair and just watched the hole. So hole watch. And I got paid pretty good money to do that.
Well, awesome.
And so here's the great thing about a nuclear power plant, and I recommend anyone work there, is it's government. And why I say this is great is because...
It's tax-free?
No, God, no. So government, what is the main thing you think of when it comes to government and time?
Conspiracy theories. No, I'm just playing. I don't know what.
Everything takes forever because there's so much red tape, right?
Oh, yeah.
You always hear
yeah.
Government's slow at everything.
You're right. All the bureaucracy.
Correct. So it's true in nuclear as well for a different reason, not necessarily for red tape and all that, but for safety. And I'm not going to speak for every nuclear power plant, but for Comanche Peak alone, every time they would shut down the reactor, they would lose $1 million a day that the reactor was shut down.
Damn.
So the whole goal of an outage was to knock an outage out as quick as you could. And we set the record we always set the record. Every outage, we were breaking the record. I think the first time we did it was 18 days, which is quick.
$18 million lost.
Think about that. So keep in mind before I started, I said they do this mass hiring, right, to bring people in. So you're paying these people nuts money. You have way more people than you normally would that you've hired in. They paid me $600 in money. So just for showing up,
you get paid $600.
You get $600.
600 ducats.
You got your hourly. You worked 72 hours a week once the outage started, 40 hours a week prior. And then you worked a month after the outage, and then you had your exit. And they paid you $1,500 on your exit. That was just for utility, which was the lowest paying job. Scaffolders were making about $24 an hour. Westinghouse, a lot of those people were making about $75 an hour. Crane operators are making $100-something an hour. And so imagine that as 72 hours a week.
It's good money.
The money there is nuts. So,
but you can't stay on there though, right? They have to move you.
I tried because, again, it was a government position. So here's why I liked it. They wanted it done, to circle back to the government side of it. They wanted it done as quick as possible because you're losing $1 million a day. You're also paying a shit ton of people a shit ton of money. So they want it done as quick as possible, but because it's government, as safe as possible. So what that meant was walk, don't run. I mean that literally and figuratively. So what they would literally do when I would hold watch is they would go, all right, you're going to go into the can for an hour. I'd go down, I'd sit for an hour. And then it was so hot in there that they would go, all right, you got to come out and rest for an hour. I literally would come out and just sit on a bench for an hour, not doing anything else. And they'd be like, all right, you need to go back down for an hour. And it would repeat. You'd go down for an hour, come out for an hour, go down for an hour, come out for an hour.
I would assume you couldn't have like a phone or anything like that with
Absolutely.
you. Oh, you could?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I would assume you probably couldn't just because of radiation. But
yeah, I had the Palm Pre. I remember the exact phone. It was one of the first smartphones that had Wi-Fi.
Wow.
And I remember it was a touch screen, and I could slide it up, and it had the quick messaging keyboard. And yeah, I took pictures all the time. Yeah. Yeah, I had it with me all the time.
Okay.
So I'd come out and I'd sit on a bench, smoke my cigarettes, talk to people, refill the Gatorade jugs.
So what about the people down there though?
What about them?
Because then you say you had to watch it for fires and check the air and all that stuff. So
Utility would rotate out. I'd go down for an hour. Someone would come down and relieve me. I'd come out for an hour. I'd go back down.
Oh, okay.
So you're swapping out.
Okay, because I was gonna say, well, if you leave, then they're just going down there unattended. So now they're like,
there's quite a few.
Oh, it's a fire started within that hour.
So they ran 3 different utility crews. So depending on, so you worked 6/12s. So that was either 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. I've worked both.
Which would you prefer?
I loved the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
I can see that.
Because you didn't have as many higher-ups around at that time.
It's nice.
It was a little bit more lax. It was nice. And another job the utility had, so keep in mind, the power plant's pretty massive. Not just specifically the building, but around it, all the outside buildings as well. And it's in this gated area. So we literally had golf carts that we would drive around.
I pictured that, actually, when you said you went to the first checkpoint and got into the chain link. I pictured that you were driving on a golf cart to get you to
Not there. There was a lot of walking up to that point. And only certain groups could use the golf carts.
Higher ups.
Actually, utility used them quite a bit.
Would make sense if you're moving in and out every time.
We would have to move some equipment like hoses and stuff like that for pumping out rooms and stuff like that. But one of the biggest things we had to do, because in the summer it would be so hot, and especially inside the can, is those the orange big Gatorade jugs that you see in sports and stuff like that, where you have the
yeah.
So we had 4 of those stationed around. So we would literally, my job was to make Gatorade. So we literally had a building that was full of ice machines and empty Gatorade jugs, and I'd go in there, lock the door, and I would make about 10 of these things.
So you're the nuclear power plant's water boy.
Load them up onto the golf cart, drive them around, drop them off. Everyone loved me. Everyone loved me.
I can't. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I didn't know that nuclear power plants had water boys, but now I do. And you're the water boy.
I was the water boy and loved it. Loved it. Now the downside was a lot of people smoked out there. So you had designated areas of smoke with the where you put the cigarette in and it drops down the tube into the bottom. I also had to empty those, so that was kind of disgusting.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, driving around just dumping them into the trash bag. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, you were the water boy. So interesting enough,
Fantastic
from
job.
football days, water boys would grab the sweaty towels, right? So people who don't know, you can't just run to the restroom. So people would just pee and then use a towel to wipe it off and throw it back. And water boys were getting pee on the. So I just look at you as like the pee grabber towel boy now.
I didn't have to mess with pee. I did clean the restrooms though.
That's
part of
that's
utility.
tough.
I did it pre-outage and post-outage, not during the outage. During the outage, I was having to run pumps in the rooms to pump out stuff, all sorts of stuff. I had some close calls on some things. I had a pipe burst at one point and shoot off some metal that actually went through my hard hat.
Oh, wow.
I wish I still had that hard hat. My hard hat was beat to shit.
I bet.
I hit my head on so many things.
I bet.
One of the things we went into when they would drain it is you had this, it looked like a submarine kind of door, right? And you had to undo it and crawl into it. And once you got in there, it's pitch black and it's maybe 4 foot tall. And we'd have to go in there and kind of clean.
So you're just like army crawling in there?
You're beating your head against it. And like I'd come out in my hard hat and I used the same hard hat for all 3 outages because it was like battle scars at the end of it because they'd give you stickers for stuff. My stickers are all beat to shit. Come out, I had holes. I loved it. I still had that hard hat. It's tornado. I lost it in a tornado.
Oh, damn you, tornado.
I lost so much shit from that tornado.
That sucks, man.
But yeah, it was a unique experience.
That sounds like
So we talked about that for a while, which I know you wanted to get to.
Yeah, I liked it.
For those that never been on that side of it.
I mean, that's crazy. Like jobs like that just are so interesting because it's not like an everyday job. Like you when you're young, you're like, okay, I can go work at a supermarket, a fast food place. You don't think like, oh, I can go work for a nuclear power plant. Oh, I can go work at a military base and build, something. You know what I mean? Like people just don't think of like stuff like that. That's not something that you see on day to day. Like,
and the crazy thing about it is there's so much money, money. There were people that did this they literally did outage after outage. So what they would literally do is travel the country and hit outage, and then hit an outage, and then hit an outage.
And just bank.
They would work 6 months out of the year and make over $100,000.
Oh,
and then I knew some that could work the system. They had like a post office box in Massachusetts, which then allowed them to draw unemployment benefits for the 6 months they didn't work.
So they were just making that good money.
So I had people literally showing up driving Dodge Vipers.
Oh my God.
There were kids.
What game was that where the Dodge Viper was popular? Was that little one with the ice cream truck head and they would like
Twisted Metal?
Twisted Metal.
Nah, I remember it on was it Midnight Club, something like that?
No, man, Twisted Metal had the Dodge Viper. Everybody wanted to use the Dodge Viper.
Maybe it did.
That and the ice cream truck.
Yeah,
but my bad. Go ahead.
No,
sorry,
Sweet Tooth was the clown. Yeah, you drove the ice cream truck. It was fantastic. But yeah, I was 20. I want to say 26-ish. Maybe younger. I don't remember. Maybe older. I was older. Yeah. There were kids that were 21, 22.
Well, for a nuclear power plant, that's not something you want to cheap out on.
Yeah, for sure.
There were 21-year-olds that did this as their job. They were driving nice ass trucks, and they were like, "Oh, that's my second vehicle."
Yeah.
Now here's the good met of it. For those 6 months, you work your ass off.
Well, I mean, I bet. So,
like I said, you're working 6/12s. I mean, you were working.
I bet
your
I saw
ass
them
off.
at the pawn shop pawning their stuff later on.
Probably.
People would do that in the oil field.
Yep.
I would
They'd make money hand over fist. They'd come in and they'd sell us their ATVs.
Yep.
I can see that because
all
they
the
just
stuff
don't
they
need
buy.
it. Don't got the money no more.
Yeah, the big deal is they just think that it would never end, or they'd never save a penny. So they just buy all this stuff.
And you see a lot of that, and especially those guys that were traveling, they were getting so much in per diem.
Yeah,
like they were renting houses when they would come down. So like 3 or 4 of them would rent a house, split the cost.
Well, that's probably cheap actually to do that.
That's why Glen Rose, that was a big driving factor in Glen Rose because they were so close. All the hotels during outage season would be booked.
I can see that.
So then people started renting houses.
out. Shoot, I would do that. Buy a house and rent it out.
It wasn't a bad. I could see myself doing it. Like my best friend Wes, he's the one that got me into it. He's the one that worked there for a little bit. He actually went to Florida and worked at Outage out there.
Oh wow!
And same thing, they paid him per diem. He wound up at one point, because there was a casino in Florida. Once he had an off day, he went and spent 24 hours in the casino down there.
Just balling out, spending money. That's crazy.
It's an interesting life for sure.
That is.
If I was younger, and I don't want to say don't have friends, because you could have friends and do it. But one of the reason why I didn't want to do it is because I made close friends here, and I didn't really want to travel around and do stuff. If that wasn't a factor, I could see myself traveling around and doing that, because it's good money. It's not hard work.
Now let me ask you this though, and I guess I'll end it with this question. So is it something that you can continue to do your whole life, or you have a limit of how much radiation you can take, and government's like, okay, you got to retire now. Like, we can't let you.
No, it's only per year.
Oh, okay.
It's on a per year basis, because actually my lead under the utility, he was 60 something years old, and he'd been working there for 20 something years. Because once you're out of outage season, you're not really going into the reactor that often.
Okay.
You're only going in to prep for the shutdown, and then when they shut it down, you're going in for. And like I said, when it's shut down, there's not really that much radiation.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, there's some residual, especially when you get around the legs, and that's more what I was saying when I hugged it, because I hugged one of the legs, and there was a lot of radiation. But for the most part, you're not gonna pull a whole lot. I didn't come close to hitting mine. I mean, they give you a pretty high allotment. I don't remember the exact units of measurement that they use, and I just remember I wasn't close.
So, like, if you hug this, your penis will fall off. You're like, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's side effect of the job, right? it was fun. It was good memories. It would be something, if you've never done it and you didn't have a stable job, absolutely
Go for it.
If you could pass the FBI background check.
Okay.
That would be the big deal.
I mean, I think I could pass, I hope.
I mean, I went to jail and still was able to pass, so.
Oh, so I'll be good.
As long as it's done, like, I think they look for, like, violent crimes, stuff like that.
I got you.
I passed one to be a pawnbroker.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I did not know that.
You have to have a license to be a pawnbroker.
See, I knew you had to have the license. I didn't know you had to pass an FBI background.
That's
check,
interesting. I didn't know you had to
It's
do
a
that.
federal background check. I'm assuming it's similar.
Probably.
Oh, I didn't know that either. That's interesting.
Yeah, so firearms, pawn. I mean, that's basically
So I bet
a
there's
firearms
like,
dealer.
if you wanted to own your pawn shop, there's probably like a lot of like.
It's real hard to own a pawn shop.
I bet.
You have to have so much money liquid, and it's just too hard to open. They've made it to where you have to have like, half
So
$1 million
much cash
sitting
on
in the
hand,
bank.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It makes sense. That's tough, but it makes sense. Well, shoot.
That would
man.
be an interesting job for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this though too. Well, I know I said I was going to end it, but I am curious because I know the water floods in. It's in the ocean. Do animals like fish and shit get stuck in there, and you have to clean it out, being part of utility?
I didn't know, not as utility.
No, okay, but that does happen.
I've heard stories, and there's a lot of kind of misconception about that side of it.
Like
so
you would
all
see
they're,
a lot
all
of
they're
three-eyed
doing
fish?
is they're pulling in water to kind of help cool the cores, but it's not actually touching radiation or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
And then they kind of flush it back out, but it's not radiated water.
I got you.
So when you're actually in it, and you can take tours inside the nuclear reactor. I did it one time when I was young on a field trip one time because we were so close. But when you walk in to the nuclear reactor, when the pools are actually in there, they use specific water. And it is the most vibrant, beautiful blue you will ever see in your life.
I bet it's like super clear because it's going and
It is gorgeous. It is absolutely. And once this is done, I'll pull up and show you a picture.
All
If
right.
anyone's listening to this, Google Comanche Peak radiation pulse. There's pictures online. It is the most gorgeous blue you will ever see.
Well, all right, there you have it. Our favorite jobs, odd jobs, most interesting jobs.
Shitty jobs.
I think you won the most interesting job though.
I wasn't trying to.
You did.
I feel like I'm the one that really talked.
Although
the most.
pawnbroker's kind of good too though.
Yeah, that's legit. You'd see some interesting stuff.
I definitely did. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're wrapping it up. So,
Hey, we appreciate y'all listening.
yes, sir.
Check us out on the Instagrams.
Yes, sir.
The
YouTube channel.
The YouTubes. Yeah, are you gonna have the links up on all the?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Instagram, YouTube. What else we talking
All right,
about?
make sure to like. Smash,
Right now, I think
subscribe.
we're pretty much on that. We don't have Twitter
Yeah.
or anything yet.
Not yet.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Leave comments though. Yes, give us feedback. We need feedback. We need to know what y'all want to hear. Let us know if you like the new format. We're thinking about maybe not doing a guest every time. Maybe just being Leon and I and Jason and kind of talking about topics.
For sure.
Have an occasional guest on. Let us know if you like that format.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll holla at y'all. Ghosts.
Ghosts.